Besides the usual nonsense plaguing modern entertainment from bad writing and overly expensive products being pushed, there's another big future enemy that is currently making everything even more worrying. And that is obviously artificial intelligence. The use of AI has made everything both objectively better in some ways and worse depending on who you ask really. Some think that AI is a great tool that should be used and implemented more. Others clearly do not think that way either. And a lot of players, especially when it comes to games, believe that if a game uses AI in nefarious ways, it should then be labeled as such to warn the consumer before purchasing that game. But one guy doesn't think that way, which is Tim Sweeney. Tim is the CEO of Epic Games, the people who make Unreal Engine and of course Fortnite. Tim has gotten himself into news again for now claiming that not only is AI the future of gaming no matter what, but that he believes that Steam should remove their disclosures because notifying players that a game was made with AI in Tim's opinion is pointless because Tim believes that every game uses AI now. Here's the article about this very thing that I'm referencing here from 80level.com. So, like I said, Tim Sweeney is pretty much enemy number one right now. The exact disclosure Tim has problems with is this one on Steam here, as you can see. This disclosure lets you know if a game has AI assets and such within it on Steam before you buy it. Games like Black Ops 7, for example, or even Arc Raiders have this disclosure on their Steam pages because, well, they use AI as well. Arc Raiders used AI for the generative voice lines for your Raider character to pinpoint items in the world. They also use generative AI for the background NPCs in the lobby menu where you can see your quests, your workshop, and your skill tree and inventory too. In Black Ops 7's case, AI was used to make the calling cards, prestige icons, and while not confirmed, everyone pretty much just kind of assumes they also used ChatGPT to write the plot of the campaign. But that's mostly because the campaign story was absolute dog water. So this all started when a developer of Unreal Engine named Matt Workman said this via Twitter. Steam and all digital marketplaces need to drop the made with AI label. It doesn't matter anymore. Tim would then reply, agreed. The AI tag is relevant to art exhibits for authorship disclosure and to digital content licensing marketplaces where buyers need to understand the right situation. It makes no sense for game stores where AI will be involved in nearly all future production. That single tweet opened the floodgates of oblivion, dear viewer, and has since angered pretty much every single corner of the internet when it comes to video games and then some. Now, I could fill this video with 1,000 responses, but if I did that, we'd be all going insane and be here all day. But the point is that Tim Sweeney clearly just proves that he has no idea what he's saying because he's frankly, probably anyways, disconnected from the world. But I will say this, I don't think that AI is going anywhere. I'm not going to say I'm 100% against all forms of AI because AI has been used in games already for a very long time. But like anything, it always depends on how it is being used. Indie games, for example, may use AI to boost the efficiency of game development. AI can be used to upscale textures within a game or help with procedurally generated worlds like, say, No Man's Sky or many roguelite games you've likely also played. Also, if you want more content not made by AI slop hands, consider liking the video, subscribing, and all of that. Thank you very much. And AI, for example, when it comes to Unreal Engine 5, which Epic makes obviously, uses AI controllers for behavior trees. These are scripting systems that allow for NPCs in a game to make decisions based on the actions that are around them. For example, NPCs that attack you or go back to their patrols, those are technically tied to forms of AI. This also ties to another function with NPCs called EQS, or Environment Query System. This is an AI system used in games for enemies in, let's say, a shooter game deciding where it's best for them to find cover to escape your shooting, in order to then challenge you, the player, to make the game feel like you're in an actual firefight and keep you immersed in the game. AI can also be used to make animations more efficiently, and it can also handle the waypoint systems of games too, like when you play something, and then you hit a button because you don't know where to go. In a sense, that is also using AI. Then there's stuff like machine learning. This is where the AI upscaling comes into effect with textures and environments. It allows for real-time plugins of pre-trained models in games. Then there's also AI-driven performance capture. AI is obviously used there to extract the expressions and the facial features of an actor, for example, and then apply it in real time. That is used to ensure head movements and such look lifelike, obviously this is used quite a bit in AAA games for cinematic shots and whatnot. Just look at really any game ever that has cutscenes, they all pretty much use this to some degree. Of course, Unreal Engine 5 also has its own AI assistant, which developers can ask questions to as well while they're working. I don't think anyone is questioning any of these particular uses, because this is AI being used in a logical and not, how do I put this, replacing the human-like way, if that makes sense. It's sort of like when you type on your cell phone and you mean to say one word, but you maybe misspell it and then your phone autocorrects it for you. That is a form of AI in a sense, but it works to not replace you, but just guide you in a sense. I think the sort of AI that people are against and why it's such an important argument against what Tim Sweeney seems to want to implement is that the sort of AI he also wants to put in games simply just removes the human element altogether. When it comes to mundane tasks, I don't think anyone will argue that AI is a bad idea, but when it comes to say the art in your game, or the voices of the characters, or the actual game content itself, that is where people start drawing the line. Let me give you an example, okay? Take Demon's Souls for a good look at this. That game was made before the mass use of AI like it is today. Every level in Demon's Souls was handcrafted by developers to create specific moods and level designs where certain enemies will jump out and attack you at certain points. Even the boss battles were designed by From Software to be challenging but fair, and that game oozes with that development care. Dark Souls does this as well. But if we go look at Black Ops 7, and the difference there was stark. We have AI calling cards, icons, and reused entire maps from previous games, which also have AI posters plastered on the walls within those multiplayer maps too. None of that feels like a human made it in a similar way to say Demon or Dark Souls. It feels like Activision just used AI to make Black Ops 7, not because it would make the game objectively better, but because it would make the process of finishing the game and kicking it out the door faster. So the argument here is if companies replace everything with AI, it loses the magic of what makes video games what they are in the first place, and instead turns them into soulless Gollum slop entertainment for the masses. It's sort of like when you listen to a YouTube video. It's very easy to tell when the person speaking is using an AI script because their talking points they lack any real, nuance or personality. You know, when they speak, they'll say things like, and here's the kicker, or this is a vibe in the script because AI thinks that sounds cool to people, but it's cringe is what it really is. One user responded to Tim Sweeney and said this, the fact that you guys want to hide it so badly shows that it still matters. And it's exactly that. If AI wasn't being frowned upon in the ways that Tim wants it to be used in games, they wouldn't hide it at all. They would instead be confident in the products made by using AI in order to push it further, but hiding things from people will really only make them worse in the future. As this user also said, I thought you would be proud of your AI. You should absolutely wear that mark loud and proud, right? Here's another response that got a big reception, which reads, we disagree, Tim. We think it's important to know when a game was made with generative AI so we can avoid buying it. This reminds me of when Ark Survival Evolved announced an expansion named Ark Aquatica, and their marketing team released a terribly received trailer for the game that was made with pure AI and nothing else. It was laughed off the internet. I also don't think I can show you the trailer because they'll probably try to copyright strike or issue a takedown if I do, but you can find it on YouTube if you go look for it. But here's an article from Eurogamer about it, and the developers at Ark confirmed that their marketing team didn't even ask for their permission to make that trailer in the first place. They just funneled Ark's assets into AI and then generated a trailer, and like I said, it went so poorly they ended up deleting it. And that is the problem. That level of AI cannot be welcomed into games or really any form of entertainment because it doesn't look authentic at all. It looks like soulless slop actually. And Tim Sweeney is actively defending these sorts of things because he's a billionaire who wants to make money and doesn't care about how he gets there as long as the money keeps rolling in. There has to be ethical conversations about the use of AI. I personally don't want to see AI used to bring back, for example, dead actor voices in games or even movies. Like, I cringe at the idea of, say, like Brad Pitt showing up in a movie 70 years from now looking like he's 30 years old again, but it's all AI. Or like, let's say when Michael Ironside passes away, I would hate to see Ubisoft use AI to incorporate his voice into, say, Sam Fisher in Splinter Cell long after he has passed away. Like, it would just be wrong to do. One developer would respond to Tim, here's what they said, this heavily implies that Epic are now using AI coding tools for the latest updates to Unreal Engine. Therefore, according to Steam guidelines, any game built with Unreal Engine must declare the use of generative AI. This ended up annoying Tim because he actually responded and he said this, "Not true. I just hate to see Valve confiscate every more opportunity from small developers by facilitating new category cancel campaigns and review bombing. Steam used to just facilitate downloads, then they foreclosed on payments, then price competition, then crypto, now AI." I don't know, Tim. That just kind of sounds like you're a little bit jealous of Steam more than anything else, like you're mad that they are putting consumers first over profits there in this instance. It does make sense that he would be mad though, since Epic Game Store is not as popular as Steam is, and Tim really hates that obviously, but this is not the way. But claiming that consumers should not be able to see the ingredients, if you will, in a product is morally the wrong thing to suggest in my opinion. Avi Sanchez, a developer at Valve, responded to Mad Workman, the Unreal Engine 5 developer, who originally started the conversation that AI labels should be dropped. And Avi brings up the food ingredients comparison. Here's what he said. "This is like saying that food products shouldn't have their ingredients list. Consumers should have the information to decide if they want to buy something or not depending on its content. The only people afraid of this are the ones that know their product is low effort." It's exactly that. The only objective reason why you would want to hide the blatant use of AI within every corner of your product is because you know objectively it is lower effort than if you didn't use it in the first place. Mad Workman would respond to Avi and he would say this, "Food you eat and can kill you. An appliance in your house can catch fire. How an image, movie, or game you play was produced is not comparable. I'm not afraid of the label personally. I think it's not enforced on Steam and the rules are not clear for developers or players." But Avi then hits back with this, "Would love to know if your clothes or coffee are produced using child labor or if the materials are organically produced, or if your car engine has a certain type of technicalities. That should be visible to everyone so consumers can make an educated choice, not an opaque one." And Avi is right here. It is ethically the right thing to state what's in something before you buy it. You all buy groceries, obviously. You buy the things you eat by looking at the ingredients. How many preservatives are in it? What kind of things go into the stuff that you buy? You then make an educated decision and either you buy the product or you put it back. The same with clothes or really anything else. It's why you have brands that explicitly state this was made in the US or this was made in Canada. The same way you might find something and it says made in China or India, and then you then make a choice whether you want to buy it or not. It's not wrong to want to know what's in the things that you buy. Video games should be really no different. And again, this is only being pushed so that they can normalize the objectifying aspects of game development to then make things with less effort but still charge you, the players that are playing these games, the same amount of money no matter what. Personally, I think a simple label on a product would do the trick. You know how when you look at a game's box art, you'll see T for teen or M for mature. They should have that same sort of label where it's labeled AI. And then within that AI label, they tell you what was made with AI in it. Because when you buy a mature game, the publisher is legally meant to tell you this is M for mature because it has violence or gore and etc. Like, why should it not be like that also with AI? George Alexopoulos, who's an artist, responded as well and said this, "I will touch absolutely no game, film, comic, etc. that has AI generated assets." And I think a lot of people will draw the line there because at that point, why are you paying full price for something that was mostly made by some guy who hit a prompt and that's really it? Maybe AI games made with AI assets should also be cheaper to buy. I mean, it would really only be fair, but they wouldn't do that obviously, so this battle will just continue. For example, Let It Die Inferno is a game on Steam. They stated in their AI generated content disclosure that they used AI to make background signboard textures, infocast videos, and music as well. And Mad Workman, as seen here, responded to that AI disclosure being shown and saying that the things the developer used for AI is being used against the studio now. And that in his mind, this is wrong because now the studio is getting made fun of or will lose sales for using AI. But I mean, that just sounds like the market being the market to me. If you didn't want to be made fun of in the first place or lose any sales, you would have paid an artist to, make those signboard textures and those record label covers or do the voices and music in the game too that way. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to cut corners. So objectively speaking, they are now getting what they deserve for not paying people to make those things in their games that people are meant to also pay for as well. It's just like that Valve developer said earlier, the only reason why Tim Sweeney or Mad Workman here want to hide this disclosure is to hide the laziness while maximizing on the profits. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Game Awards, for example, omits any game in the future that uses generative AI or assets for award nominations. Because there does need to be a gate between these things or all hell will just break loose. I saw this AI watermark on Twitter also floating around, and look at this. Yeah, this is kind of what I want to see put on game covers or websites if they're using AI. Like, tell me what you use the AI for. Tell me if you used it on the art or the voices. I want to know that. And if you want to hide that information and sell your game and then people people find out afterwards that you ended up lying to them like Black Ops 7 did, it will, like it did with Black Ops, lead to refunds, which we have also seen, by the way, already, because it's just not the right thing to do. I totally understand AI will become more used in games to certain degrees. I do get that, but like anything, there needs to be an ethical and non-ethical difference between how we view these things and judge them too. It's sort of like clothing. Was it made in ethical working environments, or was it made via sweatshops? Because I would like to know that. Sure, some don't care as long as it's cheap, but I personally would like to know. Like the jackets I wear during the winter, those are made in Canada. I know they're made in Canada because the people who make them explicitly state that on their website, and if they're lying, well, then I'm going to refund it. Like Nexon CEO, which also owns Arc Raiders, is seen here, already admitted that most games do use AI. Again, yes, that's true, but how do they use it? That's the crux of this. As far as we are aware, Arc Raiders uses AI only, like I said, in those generative voice lines, but not in the actual cutscenes or the characters or in its art and its world. It is still a black stain on Arc Raiders' reputation, but it's not as bad as Black Ops 7 by comparison. But I think what Tim Sweeney and whichever other million or billionaire doesn't seem to understand is that they want to normalize and push these concepts down people's throats that they frankly have no care for. These types never stop themselves to ask the question whether what they're doing or pushing is really what their consumers even want, but instead what they personally want. This is only something a rich guy would want to implement because to him, objectively, the art doesn't matter. He doesn't care how cool something looks or plays. All he cares is how much did it sell, how high were the pre-orders, and how fast can I replicate this, and can I pay people less to make me more money in the long run. The sad part is that the cultural zeitgeist that is video games is going to be destroyed and mutated because billionaires who don't even play games just want to enforce their agenda upon all of this. They are really no different to say an activist or a Sweet Baby Inc.-like group that is hijacking a game franchise to use it as a vehicle for their own political talking points. This all just ends up meshing into the same great goop because these people couldn't care less about the actual implications of what they want to push because they just want to keep making more money. We've seen this everywhere, even on YouTube right now. The push for AI checking videos and deleting channels wrongfully. Nobody seems to care anymore. The human element is just gone. All because some guys in some suits couldn't care less either way. It's all just a societal blindfold that's being placed over the eyes of consumerism. Because Tim Sweeney and guys that are like him, they just want to see their stock numbers go up, and the fact that he has the unwillingness and inability to rationalize and see that the majority of people are hating this, the ones that actually play and support these games, tells you everything. This is why Steam will continue to curb stomp Epic Games, because one is, at least despite their flaws, attempting to be somewhat transparent with their customers, and the other is Epic Games Store, which are being morons. So the ultimate end goal of this isn't even a good thing either way. So what happens in the end then? We just have every franchise reduced to prompts where a few employees make, and I use that word loosely, and then suddenly a AAA game emerges that just exists suddenly using the same art assets and voices and more of other games before them. And at that point, what even is entertainment? If everything just becomes a carbon copy repeat of what's already existed, there is frankly no longer a reason to engage or grow that industry, because the be-all end-all point is that the same net negative churning of the same concepts and ideas will just continue over and over again for the rest of eternity. You can't reasonably believe this to be a good thing for games. The only way you do is, again, you're some out-of-touch rich person who doesn't care about the quality of video games, and you know that. Look, I get it, technology is supposed to help humanity, but there comes a time where technology is not helping humanity, but instead replacing humanity, and that is where this is all going. If we aren't using this technology to better the lives of people, but just replace the well-beings of the very people this technology is meant to protect, then all we've done is create a problem that cannot be solved and can only reasonably get worse. This is really the whole point of all of this. Some may think I'm being some kind of hippie about this, but I'm really not. This does not benefit anyone but people who don't play video games and just see them as soulless products and not as art, which is what they are. That is objectively what this is. You can't really deny it. So claiming that people shouldn't be allowed to know what's in the sauce you're selling is only because you're probably putting rat meat, and who knows, maybe microplastics in that, tomato sauce because it's cheaper than actual real tomatoes, and the spices. And if you call me names because I don't want to eat your future gabagool slop, you can screw off to the ends of the universe and fly yourself into the sun while you're at it. I want to play games where the story, characters, and worlds are made by human hands, imperfections and all. I don't want to chase content that was made in a prompt and be rewarded with an AI icon in Call of Duty, for example, for hours upon hours of play by some developer who couldn't be bothered to put the work in it, yet I'm expected to put all the work into the game to play it. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 has been doing horribly. It's absolutely because of its unethical use of AI and just being lazy in general, but I hope that saving of money that Activision got, because they told their developers to use ChatGPT and God knows what else, was worth it in the end. As for Tim Sweeney, he's just wrong here. Like, completely. There's no saving this guy if he's thinking this way. Consumers absolutely deserve the right to transparency if you believe you deserve the right to their hard-earned money. And if for any reason you believe that not to be true, you're playing into the hands of mega corporations who frankly will never lose sleep or care even if you passed away. At best, they'll use ChatGPT to write up a condolence letter and have their AI secretary send it to you with an AI prompt image of a bouquet they stole from a starving artist somewhere in Bulgaria who has no idea that their art is now being ripped by some billion-dollar corporation who frankly couldn't give less of a you-know-what if they tried. No, this is wrong. It's stupid. It's lazy. It's another reason why, despite the ever-ongoing battle of political nonsense in games, that this over-corporatizing of video games is equally, if not even worse, because if video games aren't being used as bludgeoning tools for politics, they're now being turned into AI slop as well, and at that point, there's no point in playing any new games that do this. Just play your older games, stick to tabletops, or just drop everything and go outside and touch some grass. Anything is frankly better as a use of your time than buying and playing something, if even the people who are making it frankly couldn't even care less about how or what it's being made with either. This is all stupid, okay? I hate it, and Tim Sweeney should be ashamed he even ever thought this was somehow a good idea, but what do you think? Am I wrong? Let me know. Thanks for watching, subscribe. Good Lord, is the future of video games cooked? If these are the sorts of people in charge, man, may God have mercy on us all.